three-time Canadian national kickboxing champion, and host of Champions Corner. Welcome to the Spanglish World and her networks on Zingo TV channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores and iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is completely free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 forward. I'm joined tonight by Cody Carrillo, a professional American mixed martial artist who trains in wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and kickboxing, as well as Muay Thai. Cody has fought for a number of organizations: Bellator MMA, Victory Fighting Championship, Lion Fights, just to name a few. On top of a busy training schedule, Cody is also a coach of wrestling and a father of two boys. How you doing tonight, Cody?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, thanks. Why don't you start all the viewers off and tell us a little bit about how you got into combative sports?
I started just I was wrestling as a high school and in college, and then I kind of had fallen off to the wayside. I was had kind of gotten overweight and had like a drinking problem and something, and I decided that I needed to do something else about it. And an old college teammate of mine was fighting at the time, and I thought to myself, maybe I can do that. So, my cousin, he teaches judo and karate, in the small town of Parsons, Kansas, and I went to go talk to him, and I was like, hey, I want to start fighting. So that's just kind of what I did, and haven't ever turned back since.
And you've been in combative sports now for 15 years, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So what made you make the transition from wrestling to be like, you know what, I want to throw hands and do MMA and be a well-rounded fighter?
I think it wasn't an easy transition, but it's a natural transition. The one-on-one combat. It's the same thing. Wrestling, nothing prepares you for martial arts, whether it's Muay Thai or boxing or kickboxing or MMA. Outside of wrestling, wrestling is, you got to work hard at practice. You got to be humble because you're gonna get your butt kicked, and you're there in front of everybody. There's no one else to blame it on. There's no teammates. It was a transition that was kind of easy to make, but not the easiest.
Yeah, for sure. So you were today at a tournament with your high school wrestling team. How did your athletes make out today?
We had a champion, Quentin Saunders. He's 182 pounder, and I think he's ranked 7 or 8 in the nation at 195, wow, which is the weight above. So he's a junior now, and he's already a 2-time state champion, and he's undefeated this season. He's lost one match in his career, and he's one of the best wrestlers to ever come out of the state of Kansas. So he blows my mind when I watch him wrestle. So it was a good day for me.
So cool. He was your standout athlete of the day, obviously.
Yes, man. He's always the standout athlete. It's kind of it's weird how ho-hum it is, because it's like, oh, he goes to there and he just mashes everyone. So
are you ever scared that they're gunning for you? Not just your high school team athletes, but your 2 sons as well. Are you ever like, oh man, I don't know, I'm training these kids from a young age, they might come for me?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Everybody's I teach kickboxing at Fox Fitness here in Wichita, and everybody's always gunning for you, and I received my black belt in jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's like I heard someone say it's like training snakes to bite you. So it's definitely 100%. Something that always happens. Yeah.
So I saw one of your videos you posted on your Facebook, and I was like, I am so stealing this idea. So for all the viewers out there, Cody and his son have a lightsaber, and he was practicing like his leg kicks. He's slipping, he's bobbing, and he's weaving. And I
Yeah,
thought that was such a cute and creative idea.
yeah, yeah.
Your sons must really enjoy like being like a part of your training and watching you and be super proud of their dad for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. It's something that's amazing, and it means the world to me that I get to share that with them. And I get to watch, my son gets to watch me. My oldest, he's grown up in the gym, and it's pretty natural to him. And it's cool to see him, for him to see me like work hard for something and care and put my heart into something, and not knowing if I'm going to have the results that I want at each event, but it's about the journey, and he sees me live that every day. I mean, I don't really talk to a whole bunch of people about it, but it's important to me that they see it, and now I have videos and stuff like this, like I'll have footage, and they'll be able to see me talking about them when they get older, and they'll be able to appreciate it a lot more,
Well, exactly. I mean, I love that aspect of being in training as well. My daughters come and, sometimes they're rolling their eyes and they're annoyed that they got to sit there and watch practice. But I've seen my daughters like draw pictures of me, and it's like with a medal around me, and I've got like boxing gloves on. And those are the moments, like, yeah, like they're looking up to me. They, see that I'm working hard and training hard. And I'm sure it's the same for you as well. So the first time my daughter ever got to see me fight was actually an international bout in South Africa. And it was the first time I ever got TKO'd in a fight. So now she's not allowed to watch anymore because it's superstitious. So I'm like, you're bad luck, kid. You're bad luck.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't come anymore. You have to watch them. You have to watch it on video delay. It is, and it's something like as fighters, like like there's a chance this might happen, and so
Yep.
and that's something that's not like any other career anywhere, like you go into it, and you're like this can happen, and I think that's part of the beauty of it, I think it's part of it.
I think so too. And like, they get to see you being like resilient and overcoming, like we're all going to get knocked around by life or, by an opponent. So they see you bounce back up. And I think that's a good thing. Have your sons ever gotten to see you fight?
My youngest son, he's 2. So no, he's not really been around.
He's a little too little.
Yeah. Pedro is 7, and he's been there. Yeah. He's come to a few. He likes, he really enjoys everything beside the fight, honestly. Like, like he's like, oh, the pictures and the weigh-ins and the interviews and, the hotels and like, oh, like, so to him, that's the adventure. Like, it's like, oh, like, so.
Yeah.
But he'll be at a fight and I'm fighting and he's watching, he's not really watching, he's running around or something, I don't know if it's distorted view or something of the, just being from the bleachers or what, but
for sure.
And it's also always known, his whole life. So like, he doesn't know it's not a normal career. He doesn't know that, until he talks to his friends and they're like, whoa, that's awesome, and he's starting to figure it out. And
he's like, yeah, my dad's cool.
Yeah.
But you're a normal dad otherwise.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you're a pretty well-rounded fighter. You're fighting in jiu-jitsu. You were the Wichita BJJ champ in 2020. Your upcoming fight with Lion Fights is in Muay Thai. You've trained some kickboxing, the wrestling. Of all the disciplines that you train, where does your heart lie?
I would say without wrestling, I wouldn't have anything. Wrestling is responsible for most things in my life, including fighting. Like I would have never started fighting if it weren't for wrestling. Is it my favorite at this point in time? No. I mean, I think like, if I had an opportunity as a young child, I would have probably been in kickboxing or something closer to it, but, and it's easier for me to teach kickboxing. I can teach all kinds of wrestling. I can teach jiu-jitsu. I think right now, like maybe because I'm training for a Muay Thai fight, like, my striking is it feels really sharp, and that's what I've kind of been known for, is my striking. So, and I think that's what people want to see. So that's what I'm gonna do, if I can.
Well, for the average viewer, not everybody is necessarily educated into the ground game or the wrestling. So, for in regards of like MMA or like jujitsu bouts, they're not as popular as boxing and kickboxing, because
Right.
people do love to see knockouts. They like to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
blood
They
and
want
hands thrown, and
to,
so
yeah,
yeah, it's I think the more exciting discipline, but wrestling is amazing too. And if you get an MMA fight and you've got all that wrestling experience, that's an edge you've got on a lot of these guys who don't necessarily have the same skill set.
absolutely.
So talking about line fights, you've got a fight coming up March 12th, super middleweight against Chance Thaxton, and you can watch this live on UFC Fight Pass for all you viewers tuning in tonight. Tell us a little bit about how you think that fight's going to go down. I know Chance is a little bit of a less experienced fighter than you are. He's unranked right now, and he's also got a little bit of ring rust, as his last fight was over 2 years ago now. How do you envision that fight going?
Man, how cool is it to fight for lion fight, huh? That's
I think
dope.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
I'm jealous, honestly.
yeah, yeah. It's so cool. Like, like I came up in like as I was coming up in my fighting career, I was at a big Muay Thai gym, and like everyone's training kickboxing, Muay Thai classes are huge. Like my trainer, Andy Zerger, he's responsible for a lot of great fighters, and people were always watching live. Like, hey, did you see it? Like, now I'm fighting for him. So, that's amazing to me. And it's on UFC Fight Pass, so people can watch it all over the planet. I think as far as like my fight with Chance, it's the same thing as for me as any other fight. Like, I'm not gonna make any adjustments. Like, he's taller than me. Like, but I think the longer the fight goes, like, it's just a systematic for me. It's just I fight like systematically. It's an art, So
Yeah.
I looking for things offensively and defensively, and to take advantage of things. And if it's a pretty fight, I think I look good. If it's an ugly fight, that's what I'm here for. So I I think that people are in for a treat. Lion fight included. I think they're in for a treat.
So you're a super experienced fighter. You've had tons of fights and, like I said, a lot of different organizations. But this is a lot of media. It's a lot of fans are going to be tuning in. It's a huge audience. Does that add a little bit of pressure, or are you something like myself and it adds nothing but excitement?
Nah, it's cool for it's cool for my gym. It's cool for my city. Um, as far as for me, it doesn't make a difference. I fought huge shows, I fought little shows, and it doesn't affect the outcome. I mean, for me, it doesn't affect like the way that I perform or the way that I feel about how I'm going to perform. It's just a fight, and I had some tough fights this morning at the gym, so it's the same thing. Like, it's just
That's true. That's true. It's about controlling like the mental aspect of it for sure. Um, how are you doing with your weight? Are you on weight? Do you need to cut a little bit? How's that going?
I'm sit pretty close to. So it's at, when they originally asked me, they asked me at 170, and I was like, I prefer to fight at 155, 154, I guess would be the weight.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I was like, "Why the sudden jump?" I was thinking you had a little weight on from COVID, maybe.
Yeah. So they and he talked to Mr. Zer talked to Chance, and he agreed on 165. I think that it doesn't matter. It's the same guy at 155 or 170, or 165. So the weight cut is not an issue for me.
So I don't know if you heard, but just UFC is just had a huge media attention with Rafael Alves missing weight by 11.5 pounds in his bout against Patrick Sabatina. Alves weighed in at 157.5 for a featherweight fight. So he actually made history as the biggest weight miss in UFC history. Not just him though, 3 other fighters in that card actually missed weight as well. What do you think went on there? I know like Alves come out later and said like he had some bad salmon, so he thought he had some food poisoning, and then he was trying to rehydrate for the fight, which is how he thinks he, missed weight by so much. But for 3 fighters also on that card missing weight, do you think it's just like that fighters aren't making weight seriously? Because all professional fighters that I know or have ever spoken to take making weight very seriously, because if they don't take it seriously, promoters don't want to work with them.
Yeah, I think that
Talk to me a little bit about that.
I think that it's hard to speculate because
Yeah.
as well as I, like leading into every fight, there's a ton of other circumstances that could be going on, like any of
Mm-hmm.
those guys, like maybe, they lost a loved one earlier or they were sick. And, so it's hard for me as an outsider, not being close to the situation, to pass any judgment on any of that, because I've been in the same situation. I've missed weight before,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had fighters miss weight against me before. And it's part of this, it's part of what happens. And I mean, as far
Definitely.
as
Not
like,
all
obviously,
weight cuts are the same.
right, exactly, not all weight cuts are the same, just
Mm-hmm.
like not all practices are the same, not
Yeah.
all fights are the same. Like, like these people, they have lives outside of fighting. So, maybe they had maybe his flight got delayed, maybe someone's flight got delayed, and they got there and they lost their weight cutting gear and they didn't have any clothes, like stuff happens.
Yes.
And these guys are people too. And it's tough, man. People, I see people smash and slamming people.
Oh,
Now,
it's easy to do that from sitting on the couch. It's really
absolutely,
easy.
absolutely, absolutely.
Keyboard warriors is what I call them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're real cool. They're real cool, with real handy with the keyboard, I think. But I mean, obviously, 12 pounds is an enormous amount. And I mean, as soon as you hear it, you're like, okay, that fight's not happening. So there's got to
Yep.
be like some extenuating circumstance, something very big happened, like, and it could have been catastrophic. And we're not there. We're not part of his camp, and not part of his family. Maybe, like I said, it could be anything. But it makes you think of something huge when it's that much.
Definitely. So you've gotten your black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Tell us a little bit about the process getting there. How long did it take you to get your black belt? How did you feel when you got your black belt? And are you still training Jiu-Jitsu, and how often are you training?
Yeah. So I've started training jujitsu 15 years ago. Like when I started fighting, it was more, then I wasn't wearing the gi, as much. So we had a couple bouts, like my good friend, the gym owner, Jake Fox, who's the person who was there, him and Andre Montero promoted me to black belt. And it's, uh, it's something that's, it's important to show others, like, it symbolizes, my commitment to something. But I already knew, like, whether, no matter what, I could be a white belt forever. I already knew I'm a martial artist, and I'm gonna do jujitsu for life, because jujitsu isn't easy. Like, even when I'm old, like, we have a black belt at our gym who's like my dad's age, like 60, 63, and he rolls forever. He's a world champion. He's a black belt world champion, you know. And I think that I'm gonna roll until I can't. Like, so It's cool. I do jujitsu. Even while I'm training for Muay Thai, I do jujitsu as my cardio. I don't, so it's fun, and I'll probably never stop. That's what it is.
Nice. Awesome. Um, what else do we want to talk about from here? Tell me a little bit about your camp for this upcoming fight. Have you been doing a lot of leg kicks? Have you been training head kicks more? I know you have a nasty calf kick because I seen you drop a guy with one. What are you planning on utilizing in this fight? Like hands more, kicks more? You gonna put them together?
Yeah, oh yeah, using all of it, all the tools. This excites me now. Like talking about what's happening. It's called eight tools here. I got my elbows, my knees, my kicks, my punches. Yeah, it's great. Like I train everything like all the time. Obviously, I'm not blasting my training partners with elbows. But I'm work hard, and it's cool to have a camp because last year, there wasn't fights, very rare, few and far between. And I actually got an MMA fight last year, and I took it on about six days notice. So it's nice to have a camp to be able to chill and know and like have a little build up. I haven't had that in a few years. Like, just like there was a couple times like where I had a contract for BKFC bare knuckle. So I signed a contract twice, and twice
your bounce got canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, because still twice they got canceled because of the pandemic. So camp is just camp. I just train because I like to. So even now, I feel sharp. And it's cool, and I'm ready to like punch and kick and elbow and knee, and it's exciting to me. It's fun. Like right now, it's like I've recently been going through some life changes, and I've
Oh, sorry, we can't hear you there, Cody. You cut out. Your audio cut out. Say that last part again for me. Not sure what's happening. Okay, I can hear you again. Sorry, can you repeat the last part?
So I feel like I've lost like I feel like 120 pound like
weight off your shoulders
has been lifted off of me. Like I've been living in a toxic environment for a long time, and so I feel great now. Like it's cool. Like life is good, and training is good. Yeah.
That sounds dangerous for your opponent, though.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're on.
I'm sorry. I am. I'm sorry.
I'm excited to hear that. I'm actually really excited to see your fight. Last night, I actually interviewed a female fighter who's going to be on the same card, Andy Nugent. So yeah, I'm definitely tuning in to see that.
Hell yeah.
So you were saying earlier about how you took a fight on such little notice, your last MMA fight, and you're kind of known as a promoter's dream because there's not very many fights that you turn down. You take fights with almost no notice, and you almost never say no. A lot of fighters care about padding the record, but obviously you're not one. Can you tell us why?
So this is something I just talking with somebody in the gym the other day about. And it's something that I talk about just to people closer to me in my life. Like I don't have like a big speaker, but some guys handle it like a business. You're like, okay, that's a bad match, or you might do this. Or it's like the risk to reward ratio. And for me, I live like a samurai. Like I want to like test myself every chance I get at everything. Like. And whatever way, and that's cost me like fighting bigger guys, it's injured me, but I'm ready to bang. Like that's what MMA, like, if I am a promoter's dream. Like I'm there. They know that I'm gonna fight, and they know that I'm not gonna just lay down and quit. And it's something that is just part of it. It's a really personal part of my journey. Like it's just like, like why train? Why do all this if I go into a fight knowing that I'm gonna win? Like, so it's exciting to me, the thought of the danger of I'm exposing myself to, and trying to beat someone and trying to test someone. And every day, like something new. Like to me, it's like, oh, I can't carry any of my past wins into, they don't help me, and none of my past losses hurt me. Like I show up, the bell rings. I don't care who you beat. You don't care who I've beat. It's time to go. So it's cool. Like, and I don't think that. I mean, I could go back and I could change some things, but I don't think that I would do it any different.
So I'm still amateur level, so I still get the major butterflies before the fight. Like you're sitting and just about to go into the ring, like your coach is like, come on, jump up now. And you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this? There's so many people, everyone's watching. Like that moment.
Yeah.
Do you still get the butterflies a little bit? Does that go away? Please tell me that goes away.
I get them randomly. So like, some fights I'll have like 8-9 fights in a year, like, between boxing, MMA, kickboxing. And then like, I'll just show up and I'll be like on the steps and I'm like, oh, I think I'm nervous. Like, and it's not like I worry, like I notice it and I acknowledge it. And I might even make a joke, like to my corner, my brother, like, I think I'm nervous. That's weird. And then just walk into the cage and ring, and get ready to go. I think I get excited, like who doesn't get excited? I'm excited now talking about it. So
I know, me too.
Yeah.
That's why I do this show, because it is exciting. It's exciting to talk to other fighters and see all the different perspectives. Yeah, it's definitely a great part of it. So obviously, because you're such an active fighter, and you do take a lot of different bouts and a lot of different disciplines, and you're training a lot, you're going to get some injuries along the way. You're going to get sore muscles, strains, sprains, all the things. What do you do to keep yourself going? Like, do you have some therapies that you do? Do you do like an active recovery? How does that work for you?
So static stretching is important, like during my downtime. I have a wonderful massage sponsor. His name's H.E.R, and he hooks me up like he never has like a vigorous like dig elbow in or whatever, but for whatever reason, like every time I leave there I feel like I could sleep for like 24 hours right now. So he's really precise, and no matter what I talk to him about, like I'm like, hey, my lower back, and he's like, oh, it's like he's rubbing, he's like, it's your hip flexors and your hamstrings, and so he's loosening those up. And sometimes he uses different tools, like the scraper and the suction, the Graston, and sometimes he uses the suction cups, but he won't use them like regular, like he'll use the suction cup and slide it off.
Yep.
So
I'm actually a registered massage therapist, so you're gaining all the points right now talking about massage therapy.
Yeah. And so Eddie is like he's an amazing person to have on my team, and I'm happy you asked that. Like it's because I'm very thankful for him and giving his time and supporting me, because it's important. Like I got in a car accident in 2008 and broke my back. So
wow.
I have like a lot of recurring issues from that, whether it's my muscular or structure wise. So it's important that we have a sauna, like an infrared sauna at the gym I sit in sometimes. I'm beginning to start ice bath therapies actually tomorrow. So it's something that you have to do,
Nice.
especially as you get older, even though like it's a pain in the butt, but better than a pain in the back.
That's so true. Smart recovery, active recovery, super intelligent thing to be doing for all fighters. Underutilized, but I'm glad that you're into all those things because it's definitely going to keep you up and running. Because it sounds like you have no plans of retiring anytime soon,
No,
and why would you?
no.
What does it mean to you to be a fighter? And what do you try to like when you're coaching? What do you try to instill in your kids about fighting?
So this is a pretty odd answer. So I don't consider myself. I mean, I consider myself a fighter. I fight, my own demons. I fight my own problems. I fight issues that I have. But I think like to just call myself a fighter or to call you a fighter, it just really just shortchanges what you are, or what I am. I'm a martial artist because it's a science and it's an art. And anytime someone says fight, I mean, I guess you call yourself a fight. I do fight. Like sometimes I'll fight, but most of the time it's just a match. It's just a match, and we shake hands after. And it's not personal. Like, but I'm a fighter. I'll fight for my children. I fight for emotionally fight, verbally fight. Sometimes you got to go to that dark place and be there, and whether you're in that dark place in training or in a fight or in a match, so the people that I talk to about it, like you go there and you have to go there. You have to go there while you train because eventually you're going to go there in a fight. You're going to be in a dark place. You're going to be in a spot where you're uncomfortable, and you got to be able to be comfortable there. Like,
You know what, though? It's the best feeling. Like when you go in and like you've had the worst day ever and you go in and you train, when you come out, you feel like $1,000,000 and you're just like, oh,
yeah.
like everything feels better. And same with like your fight. You go in there, you're like, sometimes I'm like anxiety ridden or like no matter the outcome, when I come out, I'm so like proud of myself
Yeah.
most of the time, proud of myself, happy, like, you're like, yeah, I did
It's a
that.
relief. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
definitely
lot of build up.
100%.
Yeah. There's a lot of build up and a lot of pressure. Like, and someone who doesn't fight could never understand. It's just something that, a lot of tension, and when it's a local fight, you got to sell tickets, you got to make weight, you got to, I got to talk to you, and like, like all these things, build and build and build. And it's like, it's like a pot being shook, and then like, screw the top off, and, there's the fight when it all just pours out the top, and it's over, and you're like, yeah, like, where's my cheeseburger? Like, so, yeah, I mean,
So we know what your post meal is going to
oh
be,
man, I do
obviously.
love, yeah. I do love cheeseburgers, unfortunately.
Who doesn't love cheeseburgers, though, really? If you could have a dream fight with anyone, or if you were to like watch a dream fight, who would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
No,
I
so
think,
many choices.
yeah. I think Anderson Silva. Um,
Sick,
yeah.
sick
That would be
fighter.
fun. Yeah, that would be he's incredible. Sanshai. So like who wouldn't want to fight Sanshai? Like I think that's like, or watch Sanshai fight. Like
I would
so.
like to watch you fight him. I don't know if I want to get in there and fight
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Maybe just to say you got knocked out by him, like
Yeah,
even
be
that would
like
be like,
cartwheel. Yeah, cartwheel kicked me. I'm like, see, Sunshine just cartwheel kicked me. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
Like that was cool. Like, and then he's beating you up. So there's so many other guys that I mean, like I love to watch. Anderson Silva, the Diaz brothers, Canelo Alvarez, Sanshai, obviously. Like, there's there's a ton of people out there that are just, you know, amazing athletes and amazing performers and martial artists. You know, I think that's a big part of it is you get to see like, you know, the art of Anderson Silva, the art of Saenchai, the
I like how you say art, like how you describe it as art, because truly it is. There's a lot of skill involved, and it's almost beautiful watching some fighters
yeah,
fight. Like it's like graceful brutality.
yeah, it's a map. You know, they're creating a map to rob you of your consciousness. So it's you know everything that Anderson Silva is doing. You know, he's setting up something else. He's looking. He's like, oh, you think he's just being a fool? Like, you know, he's fainting. I'm like, no. He's setting this up. Watch now. What? And then, you know, especially Saenchai, you know, he come leg kick, and then you fake it, and then do it on the back leg. You know, so it's he just has the most phenomenal setups and knockouts ever because, you know, he just makes people respect like the left straight, and they come with the left straight and pull the lead hand down and come over the top with the elbow. He does the craziest stuff, but it all makes sense because it's all set up earlier, you know. And that's what I like about those guys. Now the Diaz brothers, I love that their heart, you know, they fight with heart, and I mean, they're highly skilled
Definitely.
guys, but I
Oh
think that
yeah,
yeah, they're extremely skilled individuals, you know. But you know, it's heart is something that's admirable, and I love to watch, you know. So it's
definitely. And that's something you can't teach. That's something you got to find in yourself, you know,
right.
the ability to dig down deep. There's lots of fighters who, like, you know, they've had two close rounds and it's the third round and you got knocked down. And what are you going to do? Some fighters are going to dig deep and take the win, and some fighters aren't. So, yeah, I think heart goes a long way for sure too.
Yeah,
Speaking of the Diaz brothers, so UFC has made a major shift in its anti-doping policy, as MMA stars will no longer be punished if they test positive for THC, the psychoactive ingredient found in cannabis. They're not going to be able to compete under the influence of marijuana, obviously, and that wouldn't be a smart choice. I think they all know that. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good move for the UFC?
I think yeah, absolutely. I mean, like if the company itself is sponsored by alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
let people like, you know, let people do
What's
what
the
they want.
difference,
You know?
really?
Yeah. I mean, you know, in my opinion, I don't participate in either one, honestly. But in my opinion, I think that you know, weed is safer than alcohol, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually has benefits. But let people be themselves. You know, it's not like it's
It's funny how there's like two types of athletes, though. Like, there's the athletes who like won't drink like 5 months before their fight, or like 3 months before their fight. They won't like smoke weed or have sex or like participate in any of those things because they want to be like so mentally focused.
yeah.
And then there's fighters like the Diaz brothers who like smoke all during their training and
Yeah.
like get in there and they're killing it. So I think it's like everybody is different, you know, and but I'm more like yourself, more like cut all that kind of thing out and
Yeah, I
you
just
know
don't. Yeah, I just
focus on your fight.
yeah. I mean, I have other vices. I just don't like I don't drink or smoke, you know, but I love ice cream. You know, tacos. I'll smash some tacos, but I mean like
Tacos.
but it's you know, it's a personal thing. Like why be in everyone's business? Like let them do what they want. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I've never
Definitely.
and as I progressed in like martial arts, it's like the same thing. It's like, no, you have to throw the kick this way. Like, no, everybody some people make a kick work different. It's the same thing. Like, oh, you have to train like this. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, straight edge and none of this. Like, well, whatever makes you comfortable, like you should do, you know.
Definitely. 100%. So you coach kickboxing, so you probably coach female fighters. Female fighting is really becoming a thing now. It's starting to pick up steam, which obviously I'm super happy about. You got people like Clarissa Shields popularizing it with boxing. Ronda Rousey, who changed the game completely with UFC. You got Kayla Harrison getting paid $1 million for her contract in LFA. So like it's coming along for women. Who is your favorite female fighter? And do you find coaching females in your gym any different than coaching your male athletes?
My favorite female fighter is probably Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I just
Good
love,
choice.
yeah, oh man, it's her pace and her motion and her sharp angles and just the tenacity of where she fights. I really enjoy watching her fight. So she's one of my favorite fighters, male or female, in the entire UFC at this point in time. So it's cool to watch her, like Muay Thai, Tiffany Van Soest, like she's fun to watch. Coaching females, yeah, it's different. I mean, like, are we gonna act like it's not? Like, they're different. They're different than males. Like, so you got to talk, like, but even like the difference, I shouldn't say that females are different. Some males are different than some males. Like you have to find your way to relate to everyone, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But females' bodies are different than males, and so they do different things, and some of their mindsets are different.
Yeah, for example, weight cutting.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
It sucks. Every guy I know can, like, there's a guy at my gym, and I swear to God, every class is over, he'd probably sweat out 15 pounds because everything on him is soaked. When you're his partner, like, sweat just flies at you.
Yeah.
And, like, we tend to, like, retain water a little bit more. So, yeah, there's little differences definitely in between coaching women and men.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, I mean, you have to treat it different, or you're not doing the men or the women justice. If you're not treating them different, I think. But you treat each individual different too. Like you have to coach each individual different, because then you're not really, especially in the individual sport. Like you're not really doing your athletes justice.
Definitely 100%. I mean, you're going to have fighters who are good in the long range. You're going to have fighters who are good on an inside game. So, yeah, like you said, everybody is sort of a little bit different that way. Let's see. What else are we going to talk about? What do you have coming up now besides your lion fight? Is there anything else in the near future? Or has COVID sort of affected your ability to get fights now?
It has. COVID has, for someone who loves to stay as busy as I do, it has absolutely, just made, it's like God was like, hey, chill out for a second, man. Like, learn something else, like do something else. So COVID has slowed me down. I don't have anything else booked. But I do expect to fight again very soon. It's springtime, and it seems like there's going to start to be more, people are feeling more comfortable at having crowds. And I think that spring and summer are the busiest times for, combat sports events. And I expect to, in the next few months, to fight 3, 4, 5 times. And just
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Is there any of your opponents that you'd like to have a rematch with?
Not necessarily. I mean, like, would I have a rematch with any of them? Yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but
you're not gunning for anyone specifically.
No, I don't. No, I mean, like, we already fought each other. I mean, it's not like they were all fair fights, like maybe not the decisions by the judges I thought were fair, but that's what you deal with when you get there. But they were all fair fights. I don't ever fought against like a dirty fighter or someone who took something personal, you know.
Speaking of like leaving it to the judges, I know like my coach always like puts it in our head, like you fight these 3 rounds, like it's not going to go to decision, because leaving it in the judges' hands, there's always room for that unfair decision, you know, the one made out of bias, or the card that you're on in a local fight where the judges and the scorekeepers aren't necessarily educated in the sport or had experience in the sport, and so their scoring is a little bit off. Have you had that experience, and like how do you work through that?
Yeah, that's something that's hard for me to talk about, honestly. Like it's you know, like
Yep.
you don't, you know, I would hate to like I try and set an example for my sons and like, don't blame it on someone else. But I mean, if we're being realistic,
Yes.
then yeah, there's been some bad decisions. And yeah, I prefer. I mean, like I don't win this. I like on my record, I just don't win very many decisions. So like I've got to go after it, and I'm always going after it to try and get it done, right?
Makes you exciting fighter though.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of
So there's,
times,
you know,
yeah, there's pluses and minuses. A lot of times, I have been other people's towns and fighting, the local favorite or
mm-hmm.
the next guy, or and and so like so you got to do things sometimes like that might be high risk or do things to try and get it done like even especially MMA like sometimes guys will take you down to just like be happy to just lay on top of you as opposed to trying to stop the fight, trying to win it anyway. So it's very discouraging. I think that the sport is still evolving. So like as we get more and
Definitely.
more into it, like the judges will stop rewarding that, and I think the referees will become more aware of it. And as we go forward, I think it'll help the sport.
Definitely. And like you said, the sport is ever evolving, and so will the judging with that. So you're going to have more ex athletes, ex martial artists going in and doing the judging and doing refereeing because they want to be involved in the sport still, and that's their way to do it. So the level of refereeing, the level of judging, it's only going to
Right.
continue to get better.
Right.
It's still like a fairly new sport, so in that
Yeah.
aspect it's got a ways to go for sure.
And I think, yeah, and that's the beauty of like the striking sports is like Muay Thai and boxing. They've been around for a long time, but so they've got kind of established systems of what's worth and what people can expect, kind of expect have of what to expect from judges, like. But MMA, there's so much variance, not only in the fight, like what does each judge look at? So I think like, as we get further into the sport and start having more former fighters become judges, more martial artists become referees,
Mm-hmm.
then the sport's going to be, I think it is streamlined. I think it'd be more fan friendly even than it is now.
I think you're right. I think that's definitely the direction that it's heading in. I mean, still, like, I still get, like, when I'm telling people or family or friends who don't know, like, yeah, I'm into kickboxing. Really? Why do you want to do that? That's such a bloody, gory, violent thing to do. And I'm like, actually, it's not.
Yeah,
Like, it's highly skilled.
very
It's controlled. Like, it's not what you necessarily think. Or when you're saying like I'm going to watch UFC and they're like, oh, that's disgusting and this and that. But I think like the more people get like acclimated to it and the more that they see it, the more that they're going to appreciate that it's not necessarily as bloody and as gory as the beginning days of MMA, like the
yeah.
glory days, the days I love. Don't get me wrong, like I love that part. I'm all for it, but I think it's good that it's becoming more like mass popular kind of thing.
Yeah, the saying is a rising tide raises all ships, so there's more money to go around. I think it's great. It's cool. It's cool. Like, I think that it's very top heavy. Obviously the executives are making more money than their fighters, and that's not the way that it should be, but that's how life is at this point in time.
I would definitely like to see UFC fighters get a lot more than they're currently getting, because it makes me sad that especially female fighters who are having to do things like join OnlyFans in order to make ends meet, or they're relying on sponsors, or have a second job even. I spoke not recently with Miranda Maverick, who's actually still in school getting her degree, because she's worried that this isn't, the money of UFC isn't going to last forever, like you have to have a backup sometimes to feed your family and get through. So that's something I'd love to see. When it comes to MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai, is more money put into it. Money like boxing money would be nice.
Yeah. I think that when you look at like the major sports, the revenues, like, the NFL is, the revenue split is 49% to the players and 51% to the owners. Whereas the UFC, it's nowhere near that. And it's sad, but they kind of as far as like MMA, they're kind of monopolizing the top of MMA, like, so it's cool to see competition, Bellator come along or whatever, and where sports like Muay Thai, like the money's even less. But it's, obviously we're not in this to be a millionaire, but as like I said, I'm in it for other reasons, so that's okay too. It's nice to be able to make a few bucks. Wow.
When like maybe like your son's generation, when they're making like way more money than this generation of big fighters, like I feel like all the old guys are going to look back and be like, when I was a fighter in my day, all the fighters loved fighting. It wasn't about the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to hold that over their heads for sure.
Yeah. It's, and then, a few years ago, it was even less. So it's, it's coming, but it's just, it's a slow process, because people, for MMA, like for something like that to happen, there's going to have to be like a union or, a fighters association or something like that. And some people are going to have to, bite the bullet for that, because I'm sure those guys will be blackballed, the people who try and start to do it. So it's tough. It's a tough situation there.
Yes, that's for sure. I feel like we've covered like so much right now, and my mind's going to like 100 different places. What do you think is like the best part of fighting? Like, do you enjoy that you get to travel all around the world? Like, do you enjoy meeting all kinds of different people? Is it like the community of the sport that you love?
I think the community is amazing. Like, I think the adventure, it's just an adventure, and some of my best friends I've met like through martial arts, and some of my best stories are through martial arts. And it's stuff that like no one can ever take away from me. It's always right here. It's always going to be, with me, no matter what happens.
Same. Like, I love that I get to travel all around the world, and I've been to so many different countries because of fighting and stuff, but hands down, it's the community. It's all my friends at the gym. It's the memories that I've made that really are like making a lasting impression on me. It's the reason I love it so much, for sure. So I can't believe it, but we've gone through an entire hour. So Cody, you could just give a shout out to any sponsors that you might have, or let everyone know what gym you're training out of. And again, Cody's next fight is going to be March 12th with Lion Fights, and you can catch that on UFC Fight Pass. So
Yeah,
Cody,
UFC
you want to give
Fight
that shout
Pass.
out?
Yeah, March 12th. Give me a shout. Come and watch. You can come if you're in the Wichita area. Train with me at Fox Fitness. There's an amazing jiu-jitsu program there, amazing kickboxing program. My sponsors. Eddie Uola, like I said, is a great asset to me. I gotta thank Jake Fox, for letting me train and teach at his gym. Andy Zerger we haven't spent as much time recently training, but I always got to thank him because he's opened his doors to me and trained me a lot too. Casey Keeney, a training partner of mine, gym mate. Her brother Greg was my gym mate, and he committed suicide over the last year, and this is next stuff is, I really want to keep memory of Greg here. And, other than that, I don't really have like a whole bunch of other people to shout out. I do, but I don't. I want to tell my sons, Corito and Caio, that I love them. And, so maybe one day they'll watch this and see this,
I think they definitely will. No doubt they're proud of their dad.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for coming on. And I'm really, really excited to see that fight. I'm going to be tuning in and screaming at the TV as you lay down and take that win for sure.
Yeah.
This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. The H.E.R Network is part of the Spanglish World Media Network. Please check us out at spanglishworld.ca. for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks again, Cody.
Thank you.